Hello everyone, and welcome back to another edition of FTT Chats. I'm Laura Camperson, Product and Content Manager at VC Innovations, and today I'm chatting with Hali Khan, Vice President EMEA at Zafin. Hi Hali, how are you today?
Yeah, hi Laura, very well, thank you. Thank you for having me here, very excited.
No problem at all. Thanks so much for joining us. Perfect. So I'd like to start by finding out a little bit more about Zafin. So can you tell me a bit more about the company and about your role there in particular?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to, Laura. So I'll start with Zafin. So Zafin has been around since 2002, long before the term fintech was even a term. And our mission really has been very clear and quite honestly rather simple right from the outset. And that is to simply make banking better for both the banks and their customers. So over the years, we've been busy plugging away in the background, helping some of the biggest banks in the world to really externalize their product and pricing efforts. Now, this is so the banks can go ahead and improve their product catalogs, drive their pricing strategies, and really be able to reward their customers very much based on the actual relationship that they have with the bank. Now, the platform itself is 100% cloud-based, completely core agnostic, and really designed to complement the bank's back-end systems. Now, by using the Zafin solution, banks and financial institutions are able to improve both the integrity and the flexibility of their product and pricing terms. Now, that's both at the segment as well as the individual customer level. Now, we've helped these customers implement really quickly with virtually minimal to no changes to their existing product systems. In fact, rather amazingly, some of these customers have been able to launch their products somewhere between 50 to 70% faster than they could their pre-Zafin partnership, which I think is pretty exciting. And to make it even better, many of them typically experience project payback well within a year. But I have to say, Laura, for me personally, I think the most impressive thing about all of this is that in all of Zafin's many years of doing this, the fact the company still maintains 100% client retention. Not only that, but the fact that many of Zafin's customers have continued to penetrate and expand the solution into other parts of the bank. And having been in this business for more years than I care to admit, although I do think the grey hair is now starting to give that away, this is anything but the norm. And I think for me, this very fact is possibly the very best testimonial about Zafin as an organisation. So I guess that very nicely takes me on to my role. As you very kindly introduced me, my name is Hali Khan, and I am VP EMEA here at Zafin. I joined the company back in February 2020 after spending the last few years of my career working in the fintech space, very much focused on innovation and digital transformation of banks and financial institutions across UK and Europe. And I'm absolutely thrilled to now be a part of the rather awesome team here at Zafin. And my role very specifically is very much focused on continuing to really build on the incredible success that Zafin have right across the globe. And my particular focus and commitment is on the growth of our business within the UK and European region. Laura, I hope that answers your question.
Absolutely, fantastic. Thank you very much. And I noticed you mentioned the word customers many times when you were describing what you do, and you mentioned both the banks and their customers as well. And, you know, we often speak about financial services as a whole becoming more customer-centric. I wonder if you could share your views on what you think that means.
Yeah, absolutely. So Laura, we know customer centricity is absolutely fundamental to the modern business world. And it's the notion that companies put their customers at the very heart of their business considerations. Now, whether that's products or services or pricing or marketing or just general messaging, it's really the entire end-to-end customer experience. Now, we live in a world where companies like Amazon and their one-click experience, companies like Netflix and Uber and YouTube, and many others have done an absolutely phenomenal job in really driving these personalized, customer-centric digital journeys that we've all become so accustomed to and now just expect in everyday life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, for banks, being more customer-centric really starts with some things that are a little more simple. So, firstly, supporting the concept of the omnichannel, where they're allowing customers to really be able to access the bank through whichever channel the customer chooses. Now, whether it's their mobile phone, their desktop, tablet, ATM, going to branch, or the phone, it shouldn't really matter. What the banks need to do is to ensure the customers get the same experience no matter what channel they use. That's the same offers, the same information, the same service levels, same everything. Now, secondly, and very, very importantly, is for the banks to really end customer fragmentation and to really start getting a holistic view of the customer and to understand the full breadth and depth of the relationship that that customer has with the bank, and then to start really treating them accordingly. Now, unfortunately, Laura, this is often far from the reality of what we see today, where the customer actually isn't fully seen or fully understood, because the customer's information, such as things like products, balances, transactions, history, is all contained in siloed systems that just don't talk to each other. So yes, the bank has the information, but again, it's disconnected. Now, once that's fixed and in place, and banks can have access to that data, being more customer centric actually gets really exciting, and it can really progress. So by being able to use that data about a customer to then go and develop actionable insights. So banks then go on from being, instead of being reactive, they suddenly become proactive and are proactively making recommendations to things like next best offer or next best product. So these are the sorts of things that can really create customer delight. So not just customer satisfaction, but actual delight. So to summarize, Laura, I guess everything I've just said there. So in short, customer centricity for me is all about really understanding, delivering, and delighting customers by giving them not only what they want or they've asked for, but also showcasing to them what it is that they may need or may well be interested in, and showing them products and offers that they may not even be aware of.
Thank you. It's a fantastic overview. Great to hear as well, like the end goal for that, as well as some of the things that are happening at the moment, but where we really could potentially take the concept of customer centricity. And I'd say in addition to customer-centric change in financial services, some of the other hallmarks of the fintech revolution that we're seeing is greater transparency, greater responsiveness, and the real ability, I guess, to keep pace with the real fast-pacing change that's happening at the moment. So do you think that the products and services that Zafin are offering, are you hoping to contribute towards these goals, and what are some of the ways that you're doing that?
Oh, Laura, that's a really great question. So let's kind of take them one by one.
Yes, kind of a three-part, isn't it?
Let's start with transparency. So interestingly, the most common question that customers tend to ask banks are things like, why was I charged this fee, or why is this the rate that I received, or the reward that I earned, or in some cases I didn't earn. Now, on the surface, these seem like pretty straightforward and quite reasonable questions. Yet banks struggle to answer these. Now, that's simply because the answers, once again, the banks have the answers, but they're buried in these siloed systems, essentially fragmented across the bank and just not surfaced to the bank's front end. So what ends up happening is then finding these answers ends up, in some cases, entailing, manual research, and ends up becoming quite a time-consuming, inefficient, and quite laborious process. Now, one of the most powerful benefits of a bank architecture that includes Zafin is that this problem is immediately eliminated. And instead, what you're replaced with is easy access to comprehensive, very clear, accurate, and very transparent data that not only can be used to tackle, customer queries to the kind of questions I mentioned earlier, but also is hugely, hugely important for audit and compliance purposes. Now, by integrating this to the bank's front-end systems like Salesforce, frontline staff can become very quickly and easily have access to this information and really be able to deal with customer queries and substantiate the information for any rate, any fee, or any reward that a customer may query about and want to understand. So I guess that moves on to the second point of that. We asked about responsiveness. Now, this is something I personally really like about the platform, as what it does is it allows for dynamic delivery of products, packages, and offers based on whatever customer attributes the bank has systematically captured. So what does that mean? So, things like the bank may decide to include things like segment or geography, or type of product holdings, or, you know, aggregated balances, transactional behavior, and a million other things. So just by adjusting the bank's architecture to include Zafin, banks basically move from going to like a one-size-fits-all approach to now suddenly leveraging, you know, really dynamic product and pricing capabilities, where what is presented to the customer is completely responsive to specific customer attributes that the bank is targeting. And finally, I think the third part of your question was about keeping pace.
Yes.
Now, the platform is really basically designed on the concept of clicks, not codes. So really designed for business users and product managers to go in and really be able to deploy products, offers, and packages without the dependency on, you know, already often very stretched IT teams and IT resources. And what that basically allows the bank to do is really respond to market changes very, very quickly. And when competitors, you know, of competing banks are making waves with a new offering, the bank can respond with absolute ease and, you know, much faster than they're typically used to. So by externalizing products and pricing from the bank's core systems, banks can basically dramatically improve their strategic and tactical agility. And to see that is really, truly exciting and rather game-changing. And so fantastic to see in action.
Fantastic. Now, we've talked a lot about banks, but Zafin are also joining us at FTT Virtual Building Societies, which is coming up very soon on the 21st of October. And at the event, I'm sure we'll no doubt touch on many of the things that we've discussed today, which are very important for building societies and credit unions and other community banks embarking on digital transformation, you know, really keeping the customer at the heart of this process, and the consideration of how to keep up with this fast pace of change and be responsive in a changing financial landscape, really. And another consideration, I think, for building societies and community mutual banking embarking on digital transformation, I think, is the need to build a bit of an innovation culture within the organisation to really support change. Do you think that the building societies would have some unique challenges in that regard, in building that innovation culture and a digital mindset?
That's a really great question. And I think it's fair to say, you know, every industry has its own specific challenges, and I'm sure building societies are no different and have them too. Now, when I think about building societies, I think about, you know, the deep community focus, the notion of a member and not a customer, the ownership structure. Now, I think these are things that may cause building societies to really hold on to tradition and thereby possibly cause a culture that could be resistant to change, with the mindset of, well, you know, this is how we've always done things, and decide to actually do nothing. But then again, thinking about it, if you kind of flip this on its head, what you see is these very things can also become beacons that can actually light the path forward. So being community focused and member owned means building societies actually have a really unique power and relevance in the communities that they serve.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, this doesn't need to come undone in a digital world. In fact, millennials and Gen Z people, according to a recent survey that we completed, are particularly interested in actually doing business with companies that have shown to have a pro-social and pro-community values. So things like protecting the environment or ensuring local communities thrive.
Absolutely.
So building societies have roughly the same challenges with antiquated systems that all financial services companies have, but they've got a unique and very important role in the local community. So if building societies out there can inspire a new wave of interest and loyalty amongst the next generation of consumers, some of these actual challenges just may turn into actually be real advantages for them.
Completely agree, thank you. And I look forward to hearing more about that at our event on the 21st of October. It's fantastic.
Yeah, very much looking forward to it, Laura.
Yes. Oh, well, I'd like to thank you again for joining me today. It's been lovely to chat to you.
No, super, Laura. Thank you once again for having me here.
No problem at all. Thanks. Bye then.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.